What was happening to the structure was not known to me at that time. But then when the sugar was, treated with this aqueous solution and given to people for their tea and coffee. So now I could understand the sugar is normally getting transported to the human cell. There is no rush of transport anywhere. Totally about 180 to 200 million metric ton of sugar is produced. This technology was scalable to an extent of converting the entire 200 million metric ton, and that was the greatest achievement that I could manage to do back to Sugar.
Hello and welcome to Dr.C.K.Nandagopalan YouTube channel. I am your host Suzanne. Good morning, Doctor.
Morning to you.
Doctor, tell us what exactly is your technology, which you call it as organic engineering, and what is the advantage of sugar made into diabetic friendly?
Okay, you need to understand what role the sugar plays in this world. The fourth largest carbohydrate component produced by the field of agriculture, and price of it is politically controlled. So rice, wheat, and milk and sugar are the four components, major components, satisfy more than 60% of the food need of the human population around the world, wherever the human beings are living. So we were having this white refined chain sugar night from 1920-21 because of the industrialization breakout. So it's about just 100 years now. White refined cane sugar, and which is very important component as a food, plays a lot of role in our daily life, no doubt. It is a very sensitive component. It is glucose plus fructose make sugar. So 50% of your sugar is glucose, 50% of the sugar is fructose. So what we need to do is, to arrive at a technology and to make sure that the taste of the sugar is not disturbed, the sweetener, the sweetish part of it. So you have to be very, very, very careful on that. And then the color also should not be disturbed, because everybody the human brain gives importance to the color. Tomorrow, if you're going to give a sugar which is red in color, they're not going to use it. So they say something wrong there. So this is the basic challenge what we had. And what it is that you can do to sucrose. One is glucose by nature, C6H12O6. The other is fructose, same C6H12O6. Of course, one is aldehyde, one is ketone. And the glycemic index is another role. Sugar has a glycemic index of around 65 to 68, depending on the cane, which is on the higher side. Anything 55 plus GI, glycemic index, is higher. Anything less than 55 is lower is good for diabetic. So you have to reduce the glycemic index. What is that you can do to glucose and fructose to reduce the glycemic index? It's a very difficult challenge what we face. So going through the structure of the molecular part of the disaccharide carbohydrate sucrose, that is sugar, so I was breaking my head how to do it. Then by 2003, I was quite competent to understand the molecular side of medicines, how they handle in the ancient Tamil, to provide a long life by taking them away from the microbial world, so that the biodegradability is stopped for a longer period of time. That's how you increase the shelf life. So what is that they do to the molecule to make sure that these molecules of a component is not attracted towards the microbial world? This was very important. So there were tools in medicine making. There were many number of tools in medicine making, and these tools are basically designed by using water. Modern science is yet to study the secrets behind water. There are a lot of works have been going on in the last 120 years trying to understand the many secrets behind water, which is the lifeline, which was being studied by the ancient science in an amazing manner. So they've devised many tools in medicine making. So I took one of the tool and subjected that tool to the sugar, and I found the sugar was burnt. Then I knew that it is too powerful for this component. So that tool, I diluted it to 1,000 times by reducing its intensity and subjected it to the sugar, and the sugar was yielding result of the becoming diabetic friendly, lowering glycemic index down, and what was happening to the structure was not known to me at that time. But then when the sugar was treated with this aqueous solution and given to people for their tea and coffee and making sweets and all that, of course I could manage to reach no smell change, no color change and all that. I achieved what I wanted, but it was there was a problem. The problem was when people consume it, they feel little dizzy because the sugar was getting transported very fast. I knew there is some agents which are responsible for this sugar to transfer very fast, but then I knew that I have to further dilute certain things, and it took quite some time. So that I did that, I achieved that, and I made it and made the aqueous solution further diluted in many areas. It cannot be diluted on the whole. It has to be diluted in certain compartments which are very difficult to identify, which we could manage to do it. And then we achieved the real aqueous solution, which you just subject around 40 ml of this aqueous solution, wet the sugar and keep it wet over a span of time, and then dry it after some time. Then the sugar will not go through any color change or any smell or anything. It will look the same white diamond crystals, and then the taste will also be the same. There is no increase or decrease in sweetness, but there is a far-reaching molecular change there, which we studied later, as I've told you in the last video of mine, going through GCMS, and then this was achieved, and then the finer version was made. It was given to people, and it was not giving that problem of feeling dizzy for a second or so. So now I could understand the sugar is normally getting transported to the human cells. There is no rush of transport anywhere. So then I achieved what I really wanted. But then the restriction after that came is the scaling it, the scalable part of it.
Doctor, can I stop you here? I would like to know if the microbials are disturbed while making the sugar. If the sugar doesn't get interrupted with the microbials, will it not affect our digestion?
No. The microbiome part of the sugar is always it's on the higher side. A lifetime of a sugar is 18 months, not beyond that. That's because the biodegradability starts. The biodegradability basically because of the microbial load. That microbial load is not required for us by any means. By subjecting sugar to hot tea and coffee and all these microbial load is killed. In our basic tool that we have devised to treat the sugar to make diabetic friendly, eliminates the microbial load of the sugar. The lifespan of the sugar is very longer. I have a sample with me which was done in 2013. It's more than 10 years. The sugar is intact, which is absolutely impossible for the modern science to achieve. Making sugar, away from biodegradability. So we don't need the microbial load of the sugar component. Basically, we cook our food with the help of heat is to eliminate the microbial load of the components which we are going to eat, either vegetables or grains, all kinds of things, the greens and everything, all components. So this is what was achieved with this technology. Then there is no point in devising a lab scale technology wherein you can produce only a little quantity. But then we knew that if this is going to be something which is highly needed to the human population, because of the diabetic part of the world was increasing in numbers day by day. Larger amount of people require this sugar. You have to produce them. So scalability was very much required. How to scale it up? So you have to be very careful in choosing the raw material to produce your technology. This aqueous solution, it should be abundance available to produce this, because no chemicals or solvents are involved here in this whole technology. It is all perfectly made with the natural world. So I call this as an organic engineering. And then we have to work really for a few years to do the scalable part of it. Then finally the technology was designed in such a way that any amount of sugar, totally about 180 to 200 million metric ton of sugar is produced. This technology was scalable to an extent of converting the entire 200 million metric ton, and that was the greatest achievement that I could manage to do. Back to you, Susan.
Thank you, doctor. So I would like to ask you one more question. So you say this is safe for kids because a lot of parents are scared to give their kids sugar because they get hyper, and there are a lot of other conditions where they restrict sugar for kids and other say for people who kids or people who have autism. They restrict sugar for them. Is it safe for them to use? Is it advisable for them to use it?
Now, I don't know about the hyperness part of the children by consuming a lot of sugar. I don't know much about that. And I don't give importance to that also. You cannot keep the children away from sugar, especially juvenile diabetes being so high. And keeping them away from sugar is a very difficult task for any parents. Of course, sugar intake should not be higher and higher in any individual, whether they are children or adult or aged up people. You have to have a controlled way of having sugar. You cannot eat too much of sugar related product on the basis of every calendar day. But then sugar is an inevitable food in the childhood. You cannot stop children from sugar. It's my answer to you. Back to you.
Thank you, watchers, subscribers, and keep supporting us.